Braveheart Workshops, inspiring connection, restore, renew, and reconnect in community. Live well, laugh often, love much. Join our online connection circles. Be empowered in our virtual live events. Be a guest on our podcast shows. Hire us or be hired for speaking engagements. Enhance hope, health, and healing in your lives. Creating global connections. The Connection Show, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. The Connection Show, inspiring hope, health, and healing in 2021. Sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today is Laurie Cline. Welcome to the show, Laurie.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're honored that you could come on and tell us where you're from, Laurie.
I live in Franklin, Kentucky. I sit right on the Kentucky-Tennessee border, about 50 minutes from Nashville, Tennessee.
Awesome. Well, I would love the audience to know just a little bit about Laurie, so I'm going to read your bio. Laurie Cline is a wife, a mom of 2 grown boys, and a grandmother of 1. She earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Information Systems from Western Kentucky University, and she's worked as a software developer for over 28 years. Laurie and her family were living the dream when her husband suffered a debilitating spinal cord injury that left him disabled, and their young son also had a serious health scare. She had to dig deep into her faith to discover the truths about God's love for his children, even in the face of devastating circumstances. Writing became an outlet during her difficult season in life, and after a prompting from God, she decided to write her story and start a blog. Laurie was one of 14 authors in the anthology book Fiercely Faithful, and her chapter is called God is on the Mountain and in the Valley. It became a #1 international best-selling book, and she just released her first solo book called Counting It All Joy. Laurie also writes on her faith-based blog, which is called Change with Faith. Laurie is a devoted follower of Jesus and has a passion for helping others through her writing to discover their joy through difficult seasons of life. And you have been on a journey, Laurie.
Yes, it's been quite the journey. It's been an adventure for sure. No doubt.
Well, we'd love to start with sharing first is on the Connection Show, Laurie, we really believe that God gives us accounts and stories in our life, one for the purpose of connecting dots. So when people hear your story, they can relate to it to their own life. And so what I'd love to do with you is, if you're willing, to take us on a journey into the life of little Laurie Cline and take us back to whatever time you remember in your life when things maybe were somewhat tough or difficult, and then how those stories intertwined to bring you through the difficulties you had to go through with your husband and your child and wove you into having hope, health, and healing in your life.
Well, so growing up, I have divorced parents. They were divorced when I was just a baby, and both remarried by the time I was 2 and 3. So I was spared a lot of the agony there of divorce, I guess. I don't really remember it. But, I grew up with great parents, a great mom and dad, I had great step parents. One of the things that, something that I dealt with in growing up was my stepdad was an alcoholic. And so that definitely molded me You deal with a lot of just there's issues that goes along with that. It's hard at times. And um, he died when I was 20 years old, and that was very traumatic and very tragic. I love both of my step parents. I have a wonderful stepmom. My dad and my stepmom have been married 50 years this year. So, but my mom um, is a widow for the second time. She also lost her second husband. So there's been grief there. And just, I think when you go through things like that, it leaves its mark on you. My mom is a very strong and resilient woman. And so I watched her, raising three kids, single mom for years. And she did a wonderful job, but I know it couldn't have been easy. Um, Now I know that I probably wasn't paying that much attention as a young college kid or whatever. But so those are the kind of things that I went through in my earlier years. And then I got married, and we had two kids, and my husband was in law enforcement. I had a great career. We had two boys, and, my husband and we had, a great relationship. We were very active in church, and, my husband was called to preach in his early 30s. So, he had a career in law enforcement, but he also would go to different churches and preach. So we lived, pretty quiet, at life, nothing crazy or fancy, but, we were pretty happy and content. We had our share of troubles just like everybody else. But when my husband became disabled, and was no longer able to work, and the surgery that, so he was injured and had a neck surgery. And when he came out of that, we knew something was terribly wrong. I call it the surgery gone wrong in my book. He woke up, he was not able to speak. We found out that it wasn't just ruptured disc in his neck, that he had a spinal cord injury. He had bone fragments that were stuck in his spinal cord. And when they did the surgery and he came out of it, nothing was ever the same. Physically, it caused a lot of problems and issues. And I write about all of that in the book. I share that, but it was really, our life did a 180. He was not able to work. He could no longer walk just across the room anymore. I mean, he was struggling and getting, and it just got worse as time went on. And we just went through a lot of surgeries and just a lot of financial devastation. We were a family of faith. I would have told you before all this, oh yeah, my faith is strong. But faith, like strong faith, can be shaken. And that's what happened. It just shook my faith to the core. I had to lean on God in a way that I had never experienced before. I always, thought that, oh, I lean on God. I try to put God first. I, try to do all the things. But then when everything is stripped away from you, you really find out what that truly means, to depend on Him in ways that I had always, I guess, kind of depended on myself. Not supposed to do that. But then you really realize, okay, God, if you don't, if you don't provide, or you don't help, or, whatever, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, I had those conversations quite a bit. And then our youngest son, he's kind of had health struggles throughout most of his life, just weird stuff, infections or this. We've spent a lot of time a lot of time at doctor's offices with him. But a few, let's see, it was a couple of years after everything happened with my husband, we ended up having like a really big health scare with him. And That's when I probably hit rock bottom at that point of, okay, I really didn't think I could take anything else. And then it's your child, and um, I really, really, uh, I was really in the pit of despair. I really was. And everything, ended up okay. He did have to have surgery, and it was, we've been through a whole lot with him, but um, our faith just grew. It grew, and my faith was growing even when I was struggling. Now I look back, now that I'm through the fire, and I will say to anybody watching, no, my life is not. Everything didn't get better. My husband is still disabled. We still have a lot of struggles there. Nothing has really changed as far as like that is concerned, but what changed is me. He changed me. He changed my perspective. He changed the way that I look at life. He changed the way that I look at other people. We were crying out to God for help, and He was sending help through people. And I write about that. There's a chapter, two chapters that are so near and dear in my heart. One of them was very hard to write. It's about our finances and stuff and everything that happened there. And then there's another chapter, and it's called The Prayer Quilt. And so if you get my book, that was probably my lowest. And someone showed up at my house with a gift, and it was from God. It was a reminder that He had not left us. So I just write about our journey through it all, but yet how God would always provide. He would always send us something. Maybe it wasn't the answer that we wanted. It wasn't, this grand, restoration of everything that we had lost, but we came out of it probably better. I would say our faith is stronger. We are just, it really humbles you. And again, before all of this, I thought I was humble. I thought I was this. I thought I was that. I thought I was faithful. And what I really realized is I was I thought, but not, but, the fiery trial just took us to a new level of faith. And really just humbled us in a way that is hard to even describe. But I tell anybody that's listening, that you think, I cannot go another day. I don't know how many times that I tried to quit. I would just throw my hands up in the air and say, I quit, God. I can't do this anymore. Like, unless you just show up right now, like, I'm done. I'm toast. I am so exhausted. And that, when I would reach that point of surrender, is when He would show up in some way, maybe not the way I was expecting, but I would always get something from Him. And I would know it was from Him. He would send maybe it was just a word through a friend, or I would read something, or I would see something, or maybe He would, that still small voice. I would open up my Bible, and I would get, an answer there. So He showed up in ways.
And then right in the middle of all this, you had another tragedy with your family, with your brother, right?
Yes. So my brother, who is 2 years older than me, in the end of 2017, he passed away fairly suddenly. He had a brain tumor, and we had no idea. He had no idea. He had very, very few symptoms, nothing extreme. And he collapsed one day, and he was on life support for 10 days, and then they turned off the life support, and he passed. So he was my age. He was 52 when he died. I think about that a lot. Maybe that sounds old to young people, but it's I just
young.
think
It's young.
He had turned 52 the week before, and that I had been going through the fire long enough. I I probably I was not prepared for his death, but I had been grieving for so many years. And I could have looked at it as, oh my gosh, why him, why this? But, my brother was a Christian. He knew the Lord, and that is what I clung to. Um,
Before he passed away, Lori, how often would you see or talk to him? Like
oh, often.
what was a norm for you? How often in a week or a month would you actually talk or see him?
Um, he lived about 5 minutes from me. And we would usually text or talk. Um, we might go like a couple of weeks because we would get busy or whatever, but we were always at the same family functions. The 2 days before he had collapsed, he had been at my house, and we had talked on the phone for like an hour. He was kind of not feeling good and thought he had a sinus infection. And I'd seen him a couple of days before that, but he was the brother. Like if something happened, or he wanted to tell me something or show me, we texted, and I could run over to his house or something, or he would just pop in. He was a real estate appraiser, so if he was in my neighborhood, he would pop in. So we were pretty close, and would see each other, at least every couple of weeks, just because we both had kids. We were both busy, but we would pop in each other's house, just unannounced. I could just pop over there and or text him or call him, and he would call me, and he was really good about coming in to see my husband, and my boys just adored him, and my youngest he would go visit, his Uncle Jeff, and we'd have to beg, like, okay, you have to come home. He was like, no, I'll just stay. And it's funny because my youngest son looks a lot like my brother, and they have a lot of the same mannerisms. And I never noticed it until my brother passed. My brother told me all the time, he looks just like me. And I never saw it until my brother died, and now I see it. But it's a comfort.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a shock, and it was a heartbreak. And it's been 3 years now, so time does heal. You miss them, and I'll always miss
Well,
them.
the reason I had asked you like how often and stuff, because for the audience that doesn't know this, Lori knows it, is I lost my sister in September 28th, this past September, and on her birthday, she wasn't feeling well, went in to have some x-rays, found out she had stage 4 pancreatic cancer that had gone to the liver and her spine. And she only lived from the time of diagnosis till death 12 weeks. And she lived in Colorado, and I'm in Branson, Missouri now, but I used to be in Chicago. And we would talk about once every 2 weeks on the phone and chat. And we'd only see each other maybe once a year after she moved, because like when she was, but before she moved to Colorado, when she went through a divorce, Lori, she moved in with my husband and I and lived with us for a whole year, which, that whole year we got really tight. So when she died and passed away, I had the double whammy. My father died 2 days after my sister, and I was really close to my dad. And I used to talk to him on the phone every single day. Like every day I'd call him. It might
Hmm.
be a 5 minute phone call, but it was always a 5 minute. So after they both died, it was really weird. I missed my dad because I talked to him every day. But I think that almost like psychologically, my brain couldn't catch up yet that my sister died too. Because we didn't see each other. We had gotten to a point where we only saw each other once a year and talked once every 2 weeks. But in the last month on my computer, I have two computer screens to do my broadcast. um, I, I put my screensaver on with family pictures. So sometimes I'm working throughout the day, and on my one screen, family pictures will pop, and all of a sudden my sister will pop up, and I look at it and go, "Wow, she's not here anymore." Like almost like, and it's been only since September, and I'm like almost like in denial. It's like weird. It's a weird feeling. I look and go, wow, she's gone. And then a picture of my dad will come out and go, wow, he's gone too. And it's like, is anyone here anymore? And it's just a weird feeling. I don't know how
Mhm.
to explain it better than that. Sometimes your life goes on and we
Mhm.
don't, pause enough, and then all of a sudden a picture comes up and you're like, wow, this is kind of a weird feeling.
Yes, they will. I had a picture pop up this week or last week of my brother hugging his kids. It popped up in my Facebook memories. Facebook memories can be wonderful, but sometimes, woo, they can take your breath when it's
When you're not
something like
expect
that.
Yeah, when you're
But
not
I'm
expecting it.
thankful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thankful to have those pictures and my brother. So he was a just a leader type personality. He was the oldest. Uh, just a go-getter. He was very successful. He was very bold if he wanted something. He was like very successful with his business. He built it from scratch. Um, he was, he was a caretaker kind of like, you know, personality. And he would have, I just like this week as I was getting ready to launch this book, and the book is, I dedicate it to my husband and my brother. My brother, he would be very proud of me. I am the cautious overthinker, shy, it's taken a lot for me to step out and do this. And, part of telling this story is you have to be brave enough to put it out there to do it. And I think about him a lot. So he's kind of like a motivator because I think, just go for it. He has shown you firsthand that life is short. And if you want something or you feel led or called to do something, then do it. God will equip you to do it and put the right people in your life. I think about you. I think about all of the people, that um, how we got to know each other, and just God brought all of these wonderful people into my life. And when I was saying, God, I don't know how to do this, he sent me people to
Hmm.
help me. And I think about that a lot. But
Well, and
uh,
for the audience to know too, because we didn't mention this, is I'm in the same anthology book as Laurie is, that Fiercely Faithful. And so
yeah,
that's where the two of us actually
sure.
met. Fiercely
Yep,
Faithful. Yep. Yep.
yep, our names are on the back.
And show your new one.
Yes, and this is my proof copy, so it's got a thing. I've got the ones ordered, but this is mine, Counting It All Joy.
Count it on joy.
Um, yeah,
Yep.
so
So
yeah, I mean,
X.
who would have ever thought? I mean, a year and a half ago, no way would I've ever dreamed that I would be sitting here doing this. That's part of the Counting It All Joy. I wouldn't be here
Hmm.
doing this if I hadn't gone through what I have gone through, and God really prompted me to share it. Um, it was hard. It's hard to share, I'm sure with writing your chapter, because you have to relive it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you have to relive it many times. I know when I was during the I had written the book, but it was a rough draft, and I was trying to get it, ready for. I had to read it over and over again, and I would cry every single time that I had to read my book. I would read it out loud, and I would just sob,
Hmm.
and I thought, oh my gosh. Um, but yet, then I read it last week one more time, and I got a little choked up, but I didn't cry. I was like, I'm getting so, it is hard to retell your story, but it will help somebody. I think about the Fiercely Faithful. There's so many just stories from people from all walks of life, and that there's somebody out there hurting that's going to pick up that book and read a chapter, and it's going to resonate. I hope that people, that read my book just don't give up. Just keep pressing forward, keep asking God, praying, and he may not answer exactly the way you want it to, but it will be in your best interest, and it will, his way is higher and better.
Now
So
the newest book, Counting All Joy, is that now still in an ebook for a lesser price than the softcover, or is what is the price of the ebook currently?
It is right now, it is 99 cents. So I'm doing like a special like launch. So
Okay,
you can
so
get the ebook for 99 cents. The print book is available as well, but I'll probably have the ebook 99 cents for several more days.
okay.
And
So
then it will, go up a little bit.
so for those of you listening, if you go to Amazon.com, Amazon Books, and look up Counting It All Joy by
The blue book, yeah.
Laurie Cline, Cline. And if you want to look at the ebook for 99 cents, click on it, order it. And over to the right, there'll be a tab that says Read Now. Please, I'm asking you, if you get this, and I'm hoping you will, 99 cents, please click the button Read Now. Now, what that means and why I'm asking you to do it, you don't really have to sit there and read it now, but click it and flip the pages. Like just go click, flip, 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 flip. By doing that, that will help Laurie get onto the bestseller list. And so it's really crazy how Amazon works. So if you just buy it, but if you don't open it, they don't think that it's being read. But if you flip the pages real fast and then read it and then really read it because it's a good book and then give her a review. So let's help Laurie out because she is an amazing woman of God and she shared this story, wrote it to help others to heal in their life. So sharing story, not only does it help the author, like Laurie said, when she wrote her book and reread it, she cried and cried and cried because writing is healing. But I really do believe that when Jesus walked the face of the earth and he took account of people's lives and shared story, the people would feel connected and have more hope, health, and healing in their life. So when you read this story, you'll connect to story that she's written because she's got amazing things in there that you'll really, really connect with. And then, so please do that. Help her out, support her family, her husband with the disability, just like really lean into this family. And then I'm asking if you will help us too, because we have 20 amazing speakers that will be coming to Branson, Missouri on August 20th to 22nd for the Hope, Health, and Healing Conference in Branson. And it's going to be at the King's Castle, and everyone speaking will have a story that I'm hoping will connect with your life. Now, Laurie, I got some good news that you're the first person to hear about it live tonight. We picked up a brand new speaker today that God brought to us miraculously, and I feel that that person's story is filled with so much hope. He was all over the news, and you'll know his name as soon as I say it. And him and his wife went through a lot of stress and pain, like your husband with the disability this past year. And actually, he landed in jail as a result of what went on. And his life was just torn apart. And so he's going to share about what tearing his life apart, how he feels it's being brought back together with some hope. And so our guest speaker that's going to be at our conference is Mark and Patty McCluskey from St. Louis, who were in the news when
Oh, yeah.
the riots went through their neighborhood and they brought out their guns to protect their home, and they were I feel very mistakenly put to jail. And so he has made a decision through all the pain and struggles that is now going to run for office in Missouri. And so we'd love to have him, not because we're campaigning for him, but we're having him because we really do believe his story is one of hope, health, and healing. They've had a lot of suffering, and some people are for him, others are against, but like anything in life, I feel like everyone's story has meaning. So we hope you'll join the McCluskeys and come to Branson and hear their story. And he's one of 20 speakers that will be here. So, and I'm hoping that Laurie can get a chance to get in. She won't be a speaker, but she's trying to figure out a way to be able to get here. So if she comes to Branson and you're here, she's going to bring some of her books with you. And if you buy one of her books, bring it to the conference and she'll autograph it for you.
Yes, I have looked through like your speakers when you announce the new the people that are on board. There's some really inspiring stories there. So I
Yes.
think it'll be a great weekend to, be inspired
And plus, it's just beautiful here anyway. We're in the Ozark Mountains with lakes and
yeah, I've never
lots of things.
been. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Well, Lori, I wish you many blessings, and I'm sure there's going to be more books to follow. I don't think this will be your last one because, your life.
I do have some scrolling in my head. I'm like, wait, I got to get this one
Yeah.
done. But I really enjoy writing. It is very therapeutic for me. Um, and God really does inspire the writing. I think people that write or speak or whatever, and like when you're talking about your faith story and all of that, God is a part of that, and He really does lead, guide, and direct when you're writing or speaking or whatever, blogging, whatever it is you're doing that the Lord, is asking you or calling you to do. He's right there with you. So it is neat in that respect. So yeah, I haven't. I had started something, but I'm like, okay, let's do one thing at a time. But I do hope to write. I do hope to write more, and I've got to get back to my blog. I just kind of started it when all of this, so it's not very pretty. It's in the beginning stages, but I do hope to get back to that and keep writing and inspiring people there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And everyone,
Thank you.
we look forward to seeing you in Branson for Hope, Health, and Healing in 2021. Have a blessed evening, Lori.
Thank you. You do the same.
All right. Take care. Thanks for joining us on The Connection Show. Let's connect now. Let's restore, renew, and reconnect in community. Enhance connection in our online connection circles. A place to meet up, gather, and feel welcomed. To join us, go to braveheartworkshops.com. Click on the Books Podcast tab, and then the Connection Circles drop down. On the pop-up, join our Connection Circles Facebook group. Our circles meet from 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Share story, topics, and laughter with men and women. To learn more about Connection Circles, go to braveheartworkshops.com. Thanks for joining us on The Connection Show, and have a great day.